The sinking of a great ship is always a tragedy, particularly when lives are lost. And the fact that this is a Russian cargo ship, the URSA Major, now of course more like the URSA Minor, in the Mediterranean, has highlighted the dangers of relying on poorly maintained vessels within Russia's secretive shadow fleet. And this fleet has been instrumental in circumventing international sanctions and maintaining logistical support for Vladimir Putin's military and global strategies. The vessel's demise, with 2 lives lost, 14 saved, underscores both the human cost and the global implications of this deceit, of this maritime deceit. The URSA Major, previously known as the Sparta III, sank on December the 23rd, yesterday, after an explosion in its engine room. The ship was en route from St. Petersburg to Vladivostok, ostensibly carrying 2 380-ton port cranes and hatches for a nuclear-powered icebreaker. However, its history suggests it was likely involved in covert operations supporting Russian military efforts in Syria. The explosion occurred 57 nautical miles off the coast of Almeria in Spain, and distress signals alerted Spanish maritime authorities, who coordinated the rescue of the 14 crew members. The vessel eventually sank, listing heavily to its starboard side, as captured in video footage circulating on social media. And the URSA Major was part of the Oron Logistica's fleet, a shipping and logistics company tied to Russia's Ministry of Defense. This fleet, so it isn't some sort of civilian piece of shipping. It's a military operation. This fleet has long been implicated in transporting military equipment and circumventing sanctions, including arms shipments to Syria and logistical support for Russia's operations in Africa. And US sanctions targeted both the ship and its owner in 2022, restricting their activities. And despite these actions, URSA Major remained active, indicating the Russian reliance on aging, high-risk vessels for strategic operations. The ship has previously supplied military equipment to Syria's Tartus naval base, a critical node for Russia's Mediterranean presence, and its loss coincides with the collapse of Bashar al-Assad's regime, speculation about his wife's divorce, and his incarceration in Rubliovka in Russia. A gilded prison, but nevertheless a prison, adding logistical strain as Moscow seeks alternatives. Speculation suggests that URSA Major may have been relocating assets or evacuating equipment in response to Assad's flight to Moscow. Russian bases in Syria, particularly Tartus and Khmeimim, have been logistical hubs for operations in Africa, and the loss of these bases could force Moscow to scale back its influence in Libya, in Mali, and other nations. Discussions with Libya's General Khalifa Haftar suggest attempts to establish alternative bases, though Western scrutiny and Haftar's unreliability pose significant obstacles to Russia and the Kremlin. Ukraine's intelligence agency, the HUR, has accused Russia of using the URSA Major to evacuate weapons from Syria, and Kyiv's record of successful sabotage against Russian naval assets has fueled speculation that the explosion may not have been entirely accidental. The sinking adds to Russia's logistical woes as international sanctions and military failures stretch its resources thin. The URSA Major was also carrying materials for critical infrastructure, including components for icebreakers vital to Russia's Arctic ambitions, and Spanish authorities are monitoring the wreck site for potential environmental hazards, including oil leaks from the aging freighter. The URSA Major's sinking points to failures in systems of fleet maintenance, and the vessel, built in 2009, reportedly suffered from neglect and operational overextension. The explosion in the engine room suggests either technical negligence or sabotage, both of which reflect poorly on Russia's operational capabilities. The loss of URSA Major is not merely a maritime accident, but a microcosm of the broader challenges facing Russia's shadow fleet. It exposes the risks inherent in operating sanctioned and poorly maintained vessels, while highlighting the geopolitical strains on Russia's global ambitions. As investigations continue, the incident is likely to amplify scrutiny of Russia's covert maritime activities and raise further questions about its strategic resilience under sanctions.